It's the best thing I heard all day.
Oh my God. Live music is pretty much what keeps us going, am I right?
Sheesh. Yeah, tell me about it.
How about that for an introduction to Barn Time episode 5?
All right.
We're back, boys and gal and Bosco. There's a dog in here. It's the first time we've had a dog in the studio.
You're a dog. We thought you here.
Are you talking about me?
There's a couple. There's a couple dogs.
Okay, yeah, you
in the
might be
barn
right.
tonight. It is a barn, so there should be some dogs.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Hanukkah. We're gonna light some candles in a little bit. Don't run away to the Hebrew. I don't want to scare anybody. But before we get started here, just want to introduce our technical staff. They're making it happen, always. We have Andrew Ware in the house, killing it everywhere. Just about, you should see this place. One of these days, you guys will come in here. There's wood flooring, there's lights, there's great sound. It's absolutely beautiful. We have Orion today. Very grateful to have Orion here. He's a wizard in space and a wizard behind the touch mix and all sorts of switchers, and he rocks it at the Casbah all day long. The bars are closed. He's here because the bars are closed. Let's be honest. We have Emily over here. Emily, thank you so much for being here. She's going to chime in all the time. We have Kyra Wilcox as the co-host. Incredible multi-instrumentalist and just the most solid dude ever.
Nice.
Wow, that was way too.
Was it too much? Was it too much?
Thank you.
I'm nervous.
Put a lot
We're all
on it.
nervous. All right.
Just
and
kidding.
As our house band today, we have a mix, and the theme of today is really there's a lot of underlying themes, but just going with the flow of things. And I feel like being yourself and putting yourself out there, making mistakes and learning. And this band has never had a practice together in this composition. And so we have I'm not going to try to name it on the spot, but Chris McIntyre spearheading the group on bass and guitar. And we have Jason Jones on that backbeat. And we have Chase, I wrote your name down, Chase Pado on the keys, gliding away. And our lovely guest, we have Shawn McClondon here from Sister Cities Project.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Here. And before we get into another song there, I just wanted to give you the floor for a second and just talk a little bit about your background and how you started the project and yeah, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, let me talk about how this started because it's kind of a long story.
Yeah.
So I'll try to speed it up, but otherwise, if I talk about my background too, we'll be here all night.
That's a good point.
So how I started Sister Cities Project. So I actually was a kid who had a interesting experience. My mom, she was a teacher. She taught at an all-white kindergarten. She was a kindergarten teacher, and so I lived in Long Beach, all-black community. Mm-hmm. And so she had a choice early on. Either I could go to the school in Long Beach or go to her school. She had me go to her school. I was the only black kid in the entire school, which was an experience in itself. And then for elementary, went back to Long Beach, all black kids. So that's where I lived. And then for junior high, she had me go back to, it was Marshall Junior High in Long Beach, or outside of Long Beach in Lakewood. And it was an all-white school, and I was one of 5 black people there. So I had this interesting experience, and I think for me, my mom was trying to basically, get me prepared to be comfortable in any culture, right? And so when the whole George Floyd thing happened, there was a lot of people talking about, what we should do, what should happen. And a lot of people were talking about policy changes. And a lot of people were talking about ending racism as a whole. Mm-hmm. Well, what dawned on me immediately was I was drawing back on my experience of what my mom did for me. And so I just thought that in that time that it was this thing where we don't have a very good relationship. I mean, really, like as much as we want to think we do, black and white people just we don't understand each other very well.
Right.
So I literally wrote a post on Facebook that morning. And I live in Solana Beach, which again, I'm like the only black person in Solana Beach. And I wrote a post on Residents of Solana Beach Facebook page and said, look, if anyone wants to get to know someone who's black or wants to talk to someone about the situation, want to become a friend or know someone, here's my phone number, here's my email address, give me a call. So for 3 weeks, I was like booked up salad, like having conversations with people. But what it did was, is it, as much as the people were like, they were good hearted, they reached out to me, so they wanted to understand. Like, I realized there were still a lot of misunderstandings. So that's when I thought, okay, we need to do something to put these people together so that they can understand each other. And that's when Sister Cities was born. And so I decided, Sister Cities basically is a formal partnership between affluent communities and underserved communities. So right now we have two prototypes. There's Encinitas and City Heights, and then there's Solana Beach in Southeast San Diego. So that's where we started. So we're doing programs and events that basically put people together. And so that's kind of the makings of it. That's how Sister Cities was created. So
these are joint cities. So you're connecting City Heights and Encinitas interracially,
right.
And so how do you pick those two cities? Are they randomly selected, or?
Well, we somewhat. I was working with two groups. So there was after the George Floyd thing, two groups kind of popped up. I was a co-founder of Solana Beach for Equality. So a group just kind of pushing for racial justice in Solana Beach and elsewhere. And there was also Encinitas for Equality.
Right.
So with working with those two groups, we kind of selected. So it was kind of selected between, the people in those groups.
Gotcha. That's just wanted to go back to the Facebook post that you talked about for a second. That's so courageous, and I feel like you need a certain amount of courage just to put yourself out there and be like, hey, I realize that, I'm the only Waldo here. I'm the only one. I'm sticking out, and like, I wanna create a space where people can talk and communicate better, understand each other. Were you a little nervous during that process, or were you?
No.
What was going on through your head?
I've always, so for those people that do know me in Solana, I've lived there for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I've always done things in the community.
Yeah.
Because I've always had this sense that because I was one of the very few Black people, that I needed to be visible. That I needed to, I don't know. If it was anyone, because there's not enough of us there to actually engage with people so that people can see who we are. So I felt a responsibility to really put myself out there. So I've always been doing this. I've been putting myself out there because I'm there. So someone has to do it, is how I looked at it.
Right. And what a better place to learn that skill set and to be the only Black kid in a white school, and then vice versa. You basically build that skill set to be able to communicate with people, help people understand your perspective. So what, in the example of City Heights and Encinitas, where is it an event that takes place, or is it gatherings, or what's?
Yeah. So
how can we get involved?
So we have there's three areas they're areas of impact, and so we're working in workforce development, business growth, and then our main thing is cultural exchanges. That's where it all started. And so right now we're doing these things called cultural tours. It's a little harder now with, the COVID situation. Initially it was supposed to be big events where we'd have what we call Sister Cities events. So we'd have one event down in, let's just take City Heights and Encinitas. We'd have one big event in City Heights, and we'd have people from Encinitas go there and interact with the people in City Heights. Same thing, we'd have an event then in Encinitas and have people go up there and do the exact same thing, and they were called Sister Cities events. But because of COVID, we had to do small events, so we created these things called cultural tours. So what we've been doing is taking residents from between 10 and 15 residents, 6 and 7 residents from Encinitas, going down to City Heights with 6 or 7 residents from City Heights. And then we sit in, an area or a place that's specific or of interest to the community. We actually support a Black business. So what we do is we have food from a Black-owned business, and then we do a donation. So we give them more money, and then they provide the food, and then we sit there and we have a guided discussion. And basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to talk about how can these two communities help one another.
Right.
And so in these things we actually have the council members of both places kind of involved. So it's cool because there have been some really small, things that have come out of it that we've been able to do to make an impact. So that's one thing. And then there's right now one of our biggest events that's just taken off is the San Diego Black Women's Entrepreneur Summit. So what we've learned is that so one of the things, going back to my story about my mom, my mom died when I was 13. So I always tell the story. One of the things that hit me one day was that, my mom, she died at the same age I am now. She's 45. And so, of cancer. And so when I look at, for example, the women that I work with now, the women on our leadership team that are Black women that are her age or older, like, to me, my mom never really got to live out her dreams, right? So this whole Sister City thing is actually, I'm living out her dream. Like, me and her, it's my purpose, but it's her dream. So I'm living this out for her, and so I felt like Sister Cities needed to focus on, Black women specifically. We don't exclude Black men, but we want to focus there, because there's a lot of research that's been done that if you want to make the biggest impact in areas of color, you actually focus and give resources and tools to the women in that community. So we have this entrepreneur summit. So we're basically trying to focus on building an ecosystem to help support the businesses of Black women entrepreneurs in these underserved communities and other places in San Diego. So that's that. And then we have what we call a digital agency that we're building in underserved communities to kind of provide digital marketing for the businesses in those communities that don't traditionally, they're not able to, they can't afford usually marketing. So we're building agencies in those communities so we can provide free to very low cost digital marketing, give opportunities for young Black and women and men to actually get a hands-on training experience. And the last part of that is we have partnerships with the Encinitas and Solana Beach Chambers of Commerce. So they work there inside in the community, and then they get to go out and work at businesses in Encinitas and Solana Beach for another experience. So we're doing all that right now.
That's so much.
It's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is super cool. And you touched on a few things there. One was the summit, and then one was this kind of marketing booster for people who don't have the resources.
Right.
The summit, is there one coming up soon that people can chime into?
It's coming up very soon. It's December 16th.
December 16th.
So next Wednesday.
Okay. And how is anybody invited to this, or is it?
Yeah. And here's one of the things that I want to say about that is that, because it's so funny, because one of the things people always say is like, so we we promote it. I mean, it's everywhere, and people, a lot of white people will put on they'll put on the post on Facebook or something. They go, well, can white people join the call?
Because nobody knows, right?
Right.
We're going into uncharted
yeah,
territory,
yeah.
So it's like people are afraid, but you're giving them a space to be courageous.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, so I think that the misconception is that, okay, so they see, Black women being, focused on, right? And the misconception is, okay, well, it's just about Black people, but actually what it's really about is about bringing people together. All we're saying is that if you take, like, Black women are most marginalized community in all of America. So all we're trying to do is get them to a level where everyone else is at. But what that's going to take is for other people to come to the table to support them, right? So we do want white people to come to the table, because we want them to come to the table to say, we're in this together, and we're going to support you to get your business to where it needs to be. Right. And the best part about that is that, Black women in their communities, like I said, their mothers, their fathers, Black women usually are single moms. So when they actually do well in the community, the whole community does well. So when we talk about these underserved communities, like, who's going to support them to help them, right? Who's going to do it? Right. We need everybody. It's not just, so it's kind of a misconception. And I just wanted to put that out there, because everyone needs to, we want everyone to come listen. It's just them talking about the challenges that they go through.
And people don't really put that together. They're not like, oh, like, how is it going to be beneficial for the community? Right. They don't see that by giving everybody equal opportunity and resources, then the economy will benefit a large scale, on a global scale.
So a very interesting thing that I learned recently was, so Black women started another million businesses last in since I don't know it. Basically, it was they've started the most businesses of any you know group like historically in this period of time. I think it was like 2016 to 2020 or something. Don't quote me on that, but it was some astounding number. And the point is that so if you look at that and you start to help them, it's going to help the American economy. You know, it's not just the people need to stop looking at it that way. And here's another thing you need to look at when you think about helping people or supporting people. Who really gets the benefit of that? You know, I think people look at it as, okay, well, maybe I don't want to help that person or support that person, but you really get the benefit when you help and support people.
It feels good.
It feels good, but it's yeah, it feels good, and you're actually you're feeding your soul. Like you're doing something that everyone should do. Right? So I think people look at it as like, maybe I don't want to help that person, but what we want people to do is change that mindset and come to the table. We should all help each other, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we should come back to that in a second. But you said something there about feeding the soul. And you remember that intro before we started, that music that was happening?
Yeah,
oh
I heard
my
that.
God. I think I need a little bit of food for my soul. You guys
Oh,
you guys
yes.
have any Jason, you have no idea what's happening next, do you?
He knows he's gonna play those drums in a minute. I know he knows that.
He plays them well.
Yeah, I mean that was crazy for a band that has not been together. That's pretty good stuff. They must be professionals.
Must be.
this band.
Oh my God.
What's the name of this band?
The Barn Time Band.
Joking.
So, wow, yeah, that is so beautiful. I couldn't play that if I tried, even if I had practice. I just want to point out, you guys, there's a few websites that you guys have for online lessons, right? You guys are extremely professional musicians, and Chris Mack Studios.
That's true.
Chris McIntyre Studios, MCI
MCINTYRE.
studios.com. You can book them. And then you could also impromptu live show. And Chase, do we have a website as well?
Yeah, I actually have a music studio down in Normal Heights, San Diego. You can check it out. It's called Sage.
Sage.
SageMusicStudio.com.
SageMusicStudio.com. Kyra's going to put that in the comment section. People can check it out.
SageMusicStudio.com.
Yeah. Jason, you got to get a website, dude. You're the only one up there that doesn't have a website. Next time? Okay. 2021. It's going to be a better year. You guys think so? Hopefully. Yeah. I know.
One way or another.
Yeah.
Chris, what was yours?
Chris McIntyre Studio.com.
Studio.com. And also, since we're on the comment URL train, do you have a few URLs we can throw in the comment section just people can click on? And
I put it in.
You put it in?
City's logo for the
Yeah.
okay, great. You're on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to spell Chris McIntyre.
Right, that's a doozy.
So you talked a little bit about the ecosystem that you're building. Are there attributes to this that you're focusing on specifically that'll drive the ecosystem and that type of model?
Yeah, so I so I talked about I called it a digital agency. It's actually called an eco agency.
Mm.
So what it actually is going to function as is it's a digital marketing company within a consulting company, I guess you can call it. So what we'll have is consultants that are actually there to help businesses interact with our ecosystem. So it's like a person who is a that actually interacts with or engages with the network. And so the business owner can just come in and say, hey, I need so-and-so, I need, digital marketing. If they need digital marketing, there's digital marketers there. And these are young people that are being trained. If they need capital, for example, there's a consultant there that can then tap into our network and try to get them connected to the right person to get that capital. So the ecosystem, I mean, we're already building it. It's just a network of people, right? And it's people from everywhere, all across the board that in different, that have business services or, consultants or whatever it is. They help business and entrepreneurs. And so one of the things that's the biggest kind of barrier for a lot of Black people in general is that their networks are not very, sometimes we don't have the same networks that someone in an affluent area may have, right?
Right.
So what we're trying to do is alleviate that barrier by creating a network where if they need whatever they need, we can just tap into it for them, and they can talk to someone who can provide that for them.
Right.
So that's what the whole point of the eco agency or workforce development piece is.
And how are these funded currently? Is it outsourced funding and is it part of the events?
That's a very good question.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a place where people can contribute to this?
So
is that in the Sister Cities Project website?
Yeah, so we're doing two things. Of course, you can always go to the website at sistercitiesproject.org and you can donate on the website. But also, so what we're doing right now is we have a sponsor package. Mm-hmm. So people can sponsor pieces of. So the summit that we're doing is a 4-part series. And the reason we did it as a 4-part series is because we're allowing people to sponsor it. They can be a title sponsor. They can sponsor pieces of it. They can actually do advertisements during the summit. So we have entrepreneurs coming to the table so they can actually, show their business during the summit. And there's 4 different pieces. So the sponsorships, we have a sponsorship pack. So if any corporation or person wants to be a sponsor, we can send them a sponsor package, and then we have sponsorship levels. And that's all that money is going towards building this ecosystem that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Really, that just goes back to supporting entrepreneurs that we're working with.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Is there an example recently that of a
is it always starting businesses, or like is it just any business that's been a while, or running for a while, or
Yeah, I think our we kind of went with the model like if you can get a business license,
mm-hmm.
we'll start from there. Because I think again there's the barrier, right? So all we're saying is, at least do the legwork to get a business license.
Right.
If you can do that, then we'll take it from there, and we'll do trainings and different things to help you go to the next level and the next level of your business. Because I think too often the problem becomes, there's all these programs out there for business owners, but they want you to have a certain amount of revenue, or they want you to have all this paperwork, and they want you to have all this stuff. Well, that's another barrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just another barrier for some businesses, and to be honest with you, for a lot of Black business owners, it becomes a larger barrier. So we're saying just get the business license, and then if there are these programs out there, we'll get you there.
Yeah.
We're the kind of, we want to be the system that we build you up, and we'll get you to the point where then you can get into those other programs,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll have those programs too. But then you're on your way.
Is there a database where everyone can see these businesses, or?
So we are actually we do have a directory on the website.
Okay.
So we're just now starting to build out this directory.
Nice.
So there are some businesses there now. They're all the businesses that we've interacted with so far. I mean, there's a lot more we have to put in, but yeah, eventually we'll have a full directory of all the businesses and entrepreneurs that we've worked with. We're actually doing this thing during the holidays. We did it during Black Friday and Cyber Monday, where that's when we started the directory. And what we did was we told people, if you want to spend some money, look at these businesses, and spend some money with them too. So for the holidays, we'll be doing this campaign where we're asking people to go to our directory, look who's there, see what they offer, and then try to, if you're going to spend some money for Christmas, spend some money with them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's amazing. What do you say to the person to the counter argument of just like, how is this going to help, and how is this going to create change and increase the economy? And
so if we're just talking about the economy, if you really want to just take that argument, like
Mm-hmm.
you're a person who's just saying, well, how is this going to help?
Yeah.
Again, if you just look at the data,
Mm-hmm.
Black women have started the most businesses in America in a certain period of time. So the point of that is that, with businesses, with growth of businesses comes more employees,
Right.
right? And then, like I said, if you're looking at single mothers, you're looking at generational, right? Like you're looking at how do those kids look at that mother? What do those kids end up doing when their mother is an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, rather than not a successful entrepreneur, right? So you're looking at all these historical things that if we were to help this group of women
Mm-hmm.
get to a certain point, we all win. Like
Right.
everyone, all of America wins when they get to a certain level and they're no longer marginalized and they have the same opportunities. We all win as America. So I don't know, like, if you don't like, I mean, it's the American economy, right? If you want to help the American economy, do this. I mean,
Right.
there's many ways to do it.
Yeah.
We've decided this is our way to do it, right?
It's a beautiful way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like so you're giving a resource to people to have an impact with their dollar and take that route. But what do you say to the person who's just like, who wants to be more put themselves out there and talk to people of different races, but they're afraid, and just because they like you said, there's just a lack of diversity in some areas, and
Right.
so like I think acknowledging the racism within all of us is the first step potentially, but just people have a hard time putting themselves out there.
Yeah.
And there's no visual like, hey, I'm okay to say hello to, everything's cool. So maybe someone's having a bad day,
Right.
and they have a bad experience that kind of cascades to something else. But do you have any input into just like,
You know, I have a very very different perspective on this, and than most people, because I've talked about this a lot. But I think one of our biggest issues, and not just in this what we're talking about here,
Mhm.
I feel like one of the biggest issues in America, maybe in in humankind in general, is courage.
Mhm.
I don't think we have. I think there's a lack of courage with a lot of people, and so I always like, if really what it boils down, like you asked a question earlier about why I would do, it's about having courage, right? It's stepping out there and having the courage to do it. With the Facebook post, it's about courage,
Mhm.
and I challenge myself every day to have courage. So a lot of people, even black people that I know, disagree with me on this, but I say, look, if they like, if you're having a problem, if you're having these kind of conflicting like perspectives about black people, or how to just walk up to someone and say hello and strike up a conversation.
Mm.
Like, some people will say, no, don't do that, because then it feels like, you're doing it. But that's where we're at right now.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where we're at in this time in history, where people need to start being a little bit more courageous and need to start putting themselves out there and starting conversations. It's going to be uncomfortable, but so what?
Say
Right?
hello.
So
Yeah.
so what? Like, say hello
Yeah.
and ask a question,
Mhm.
and then be transparent and honest,
Mhm.
right? Like, one of the things I saw, which was very, like, we talk about, which is, there was this like scale, racism scale, right? And so they were saying, there are racists, there are non-racist, and then there are anti-racist, right? So people that fight against racism, people that just don't think they're racist, and then there are racists. Well, everyone's on that scale somewhere.
Right.
And my perspective is, wherever you are is fine, as long as you're trying to get down the scale.
Yeah.
This way,
Right.
not that way,
Yeah.
right? So it doesn't matter. So I don't think you should feel bad about, especially if you're a white person, that you should feel bad that you feel certain things. No, but you got to start. Hopefully, you're taking steps forward.
Acknowledging the reality
Yeah,
of the situation
and that's fine.
and going from there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It seems simple, right? But
It seems
when
simple.
you're walking down the street, and what was that? Oh, sorry. When you're walking down the street, sometimes these headphones are a little. Yeah, it's just hard to. It's easier said than done, and clearly it is, because we've been talking about this for ever.
Right.
The human race has been talking about this for a long time, and there's so much work to be done. But these little conversations and putting yourself out there, and being willing to make mistakes, saying the wrong thing sometimes, it sucks, but it helps us learn and helps us grow.
Right.
And
One uncomfortable thing is, like, if you notice, I stick to black and white people.
mhm,
And
there's a lot in between.
well, yeah, but I mean, that's what I feel like that's where that's where that needs to end.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? Like, that whole situation, it just needs to stop. It's been
Yeah.
going on for way too long, and it needs to stop. So when we talk about, that's what Sister City's focus really is. Not that and I also feel that, like, because of our history in America, if black people, like, are totally equal, like, that's going to help everybody. Like, it literally
Right.
is going to trickle down to our entire society. I mean, if you treat a black person like they're equal, I mean, what do you think everyone, like, that's where we're at. So, like, for me, it's been this, like, uncomfortable kind of thing to continue to say black and white people, even,
Mhm.
because I think people kind of, like, well, why, they get a little, it's been uncomfortable. They get a little uncomfortable with me putting out that black and white people have an issue.
Mhm.
You see what I mean?
Right. Right. And I feel like the more we talk about it, the more it's confronted, the less stagnant it'll be, the less uncomfortable it'll be.
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
Mhm.
that's the idea.
That is the idea.
I mean, yeah, you could look at every race, and there has so many beautiful things that has come out of every race that it's just like even unfathomable as to why there is such a discrepancy between equality and opportunity in everybody. For
Yeah.
some reason, I just went to the Mexican culture in my head, and I was just like, mariachi music is literally like give me a margarita, put me on the beach, let's put mariachi music. Tell me that's a bad time. Tell me that's
no, that's no.
it's not a bad time.
But every culture is beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the point. Like it's celebrating every culture. Like
Yeah.
I think this would be it'd be a much more beautiful place if we just celebrated everyone's
Are
culture.
you telling me to light the Hanukkah candles?
I'm telling you to light
Is
the
that
Hanukkah
is that what you're
candles.
saying right now?
Sure, I'm celebrating. I'm
All right.
I'm
All
doing
right.
it
We're gonna
tonight.
stretch and
Need
then
some
we're gonna
music
go
to
it,
go with it.
and then we're gonna go. Yeah, this is a hard melody for the. I mean, do you guys know the Hanukkah song?
Oh, you're gonna
Ooh.
play the Hanukkah song.
Chase has got you.
All right, guys, we're gonna dim it up
Nice.
a little bit.
Oh, I think this is the first time I've ever done this.
Welcome. Okay, so you don't want to have you have circumcision next.
Oh. I didn't know that was part of the
Yeah,
situation.
we're
I'm
gonna-
like, "Yeah."
We're gonna lay plastic on the table.
Oh, no.
Just kidding. I don't know why. You know, I guess there was like some sanitary issues back in like thousands of years ago, but it's an old tradition that we're holding on to. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Chanukah. Beautiful. And then you just burn the bottom there. Just give that little wax job on the bottom there. Just get that little candle. Yeah, and then just stick it right in.
Oh.
Yep. So now you're Jewish. Yeah. Usually,
think I have some Jewish relatives, actually.
don't we all? At some point. Yeah. It always comes down to it. Do you guys know the Hava Nagila Hava? Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that song.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Everyone's been to a bar mitzvah at some point.
Mhm.
Wow. You guys have yes. I love it. You guys have the floor for whatever you want to do. Transition into the music while the candles burn. Barn Time Band. You
Barn
guys are killing it. That's so good. What do you call that song? There's a lot of H's in there. In that song. So there's been a lot of talk about cultural influence, and just wanted to give you guys the floor for a second. Where would the bass be, for example, without cultural influence? Nowhere. Speaking to that mic, I think that mic's on. Maybe.
Yeah, get close to that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Get close up.
I don't even know all the cultures that contribute to where the bass is today or any instrument. There's so much history in music.
I love that about music. It's like you can play a sequence of notes and somebody can respond, no matter where they're from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Feel emotion, no
Right.
matter what.
yeah.
Certain types of emotion.
Oh yeah. Like minor chord will just kind of bring you into that, just like not necessarily bad, but just like emotional. And the major, we can go through all the. I only know the minor and major, so I can't really go past that.
They're huge.
They're huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about drums? How do you feel about the cultural influence with drums? Feels good. He's a man of many words, folks. Jason Jones. Check out his website.
You should school me on it a little bit.
I should learn as well, right? I guess like back in the day, it was like goat skin, right? It was like goat skin drums. Like
You just picked a random animal and decided that's the skin that's going to be.
we had
used for
goats
the
growing up, so it wasn't completely random. But
Did you make drums out of your goats?
don't
Oh.
bring that up right now, Jason. It's a sensitive topic.
It's a bad goat joke.
The keys,
poor,
though,
poor goats.
the ivory keys. Like we don't have to go into the elephant trauma, but it's also percussive. It's also a percussive instrument. Do you feel like you have a really good? Chase. I'm talking to you just in case. I don't know what cameras are doing anything, but do you feel like because you play keys, there's like you have like a good rhythm, just because it is a very percussive. I mean, you have a good rhythm, but like, do you feel like you can translate that to percussion or drums or?
I think rhythm is outside of an instrument.
Oh,
really.
yeah.
It's more about it's like collective stuff, right? So like playing together. We're joking about playing together for the first time, but I think the first thing that we lock in is a rhythm, right? So even people talk about the harmony of the music and that kind of thing, but rhythm is really what kind of connects people, I think, through music.
So you're saying you have played together because the rhythm was already there.
Wow. That's deep.
Is that what you're saying? I was just trying to, because you said you were joking about playing for the first. This is your first time playing together,
This
right?
is our first time meeting each other.
But
yeah.
but meeting each other. But rhythmically, there has already been a gathering between the
Say
three
that,
of you.
Yeah.
Cosmically, but it's kind
Cosmically.
of
In a cosmic way,
I love that.
That just
yeah.
blew my mind right there.
Do you guys jam separately, like when you're not together, like cosmically? Do you lay horizontally and you're just like Chris is just like.
Yeah, there's a connection there, I
Yeah.
mean, you look at, I'll sit down and play a piece of music, like some classical music, right? It's from the 19th century. So I'm connecting to that time period by playing that piece, right? It's like a
Wow.
history that still exists today. And I think when you talk about music and culture, there's a lot to think about because you have the culture, just like the way we read history, about wars and things like that. We have the history that's written down, right? Something that we can we feel like it's more factual because it's written down, but there's so much history that we don't even talk about or know about, right? Because it doesn't have that written down history.
What trips me out about older music, 19th century, it's like that wasn't recorded ever, right? So it was you could only read the sheet music, or it's up to the conductor or somebody. Did I say that right? Conductor? Yeah. Sometimes I get the guy on the train and the person with the wand mixed up. But it's like, so every performance after it was written is going to be slightly different, potentially. And I'm sure there was like a tone that was traveled during that time based off of what was going on during that time, because every music that's recorded is a byproduct of current events or what was happening during that time. So I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. Do you think somebody can replicate like Bach, for example, like how Bach played it or intended to, or do you think it's just you only have the new version?
I think you have to have the new version. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
some of the instruments that were around during that time period don't even exist
Like what?
now, right? I mean, the piano didn't exist.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It didn't exist then.
Right.
Right.
So really all we can do is kind of almost mimic the way that instruments were built back then. If you look at like a violin that's hundreds of years old, that violin's going to be worth millions of dollars because they don't exist anymore. So
Right.
but then you think, well, back then, you know, there was hundreds of those violins, thousands of those violins. So I think you kind of have to think about the culture in terms of the time, you know, where you are, and you can't always be looking back, but you also can't be stuck in this moment, right? You can't just be making the music that you feel now. You have this whole history to think about too.
Right. Do you? There's a. I think it was Bach. No, it was Mozart's Fifth Symphony. There was a funky version that was released. Do you guys hear that version? It was so good. It was like it was like I don't know. It was amazing. I just had a fantasy of you guys. I feel like you guys, if anybody, can pull off like a funky classical song. Not gonna put you on the spot right now.
Mozart fifth funky version. Huh?
Finn's, I know it's a lot to ask,
Yeah,
right?
wow.
Oh my god, I should sit down.
That's,
Yeah. All right, that's a lot. I'm gonna pretend to stretch.
Mhm.
Yeah. We'll save that for later. Yeah. But yeah, it's really interesting. Just the cultural influence. Just talking about like how could like where society is now and the problems we're still trying to overcome within just equality in general. Something as basic as that, and you look at like, oh, where did this beautiful thing come from? Where did that beautiful thing come from? And it's just like when you take yourself outside of it, you're like, how can we still be dealing with these problems that we've dealt with for a long time?
Yeah.
And back to what you were saying, that was a bit of a tangent, but you mentioned refurbished computers a while ago, and there's probably a lot of people out there. I have one computer that I don't use anymore. Is that part of what Sister Cities does as well? Do they actually try to find resources for small businesses that are just starting out?
Yeah.
Or
I think that would be more just a. So yes, I mean we are going to. I mean, for example, refurbished computers. One of the things we work with a organization called the San Diego Futures Foundation. That's what they do. So they actually take old computers, and then they have a program, an IT program, where they train people to fix computers. So they then refurbish the computers, and then they, people can buy them, right, for a very cheap price. And they also provide a lot of these computers to, for example, programs like ours. So when we actually go into our digital agency, more than likely a lot of the youth that we're, that are working in our agency will probably use some of these computers. And it sounds, I think some people might say, well, why don't they just buy new computers? Well, there's another barrier, right? There's another thing where not everybody, if I can tell an interesting story, it's always been interesting to me because in 2014 I had another nonprofit. It was a digital marketing training program for underserved youth, which was in Southeast San Diego, and then we also had one in City Heights. But I live in Solana Beach, so and I own my own business, so I would always be at Starbucks in Solana Beach, and that's where that's my office. So I have many offices around San Diego County, but that's my office, and so I would be at Starbucks, and so 3:00, all the kids would come in from school, and they would have tutoring sessions. So there'd be all these kids in there for their tutoring sessions. I mean, they would break out their backpacks. They'd have iPads, you know, a brand new Mac, you know, what's the newest Mac? Compute, whatever.
The
You know, they'd
for-
have,
I don't know.
they'd
Yeah.
have an iPhone. So they have all these devices, all this like access. And then I would drive down the freeway down to City Heights, and you know, I would talk to a kid that's never been on a computer before.
Right.
Like half my group had never been on a computer before.
Wow. Ever.
Right. Ever.
Wow.
Like my first, the first cohort of kids I did, they were junior high kids. My first question to them was, how many of you, we were in a computer lab, and my first question was, how many of you have ever used a computer? 2 kids raised their hand of 20.
Wow.
I mean, that doesn't even make sense, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It makes no sense whatsoever. But until you get in, like that's how big the difference is. It really is that big. So I don't know if I answered your question at all, but yeah,
It's amazing the lack of resources that individuals have at their availability. And there's a product called Raspberry Pi. Andrew knows about these guys, and it's basically just like this big, and you can plug it into a monitor, and it has like basic Word, basic like Excel format. And I was thinking you should put your
Really?
marketing tools on there as
Wow,
well.
okay.
And it was a startup a while ago to give similar thing where it's like, let's give people who don't have the access to these resources something that they can at least get started,
Right.
get familiar with the typing in general. And
who started that company?
I don't remember. It could have been him if he was born a couple of years
Okay.
earlier. But
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
yeah, Raspberry Pi. We'll send it to you.
Mhm.
A little link. Speaking of Raspberry Pi, Pi is sweet, and so are you guys. You feel like playing music?
Raspberry
That was
Pi.
a good,
Yeah.
that was a good transition.
We're working on it, dude.
I liked it.
Is there a Raspberry Pi? Like,
There should be.
Strawberry
There's like a rhubarb.
yeah.
We should do one. That was nasty. The fluttering keys, the bass, those little on the drums. Oh my god. Right? I would love if we can get a camera on this dog, lovely dog called Bosco. It is really warming all of our hearts up. Filled with joy we are. Yeah, I don't know if you could see that, but it's this cute little thing that's literally been doing exactly what you're seeing for the last like hour and a half. If we all had that much energy, a lot will be getting done in this world, or nothing.
Probably
But it's hard.
nothing.
Probably nothing.
Probably nothing.
We'd eat a lot, and pretend like I probably the same amount of stuff that we do now. We'd eat a lot and like piss on stuff and like think we claim it, but we don't, and it's
Piss on stuff and think we play. I do a lot of that actually.
It's animalistic, you know, like we are animals after all. You guys, we are coming close to our end here.
It's been a good time.
It has been a wonderful time, you
Had
know.
a lot of fun.
Just wanted a shout out with the man playing with the dog right now, Orion, coming in clutch. He does amazing work over at the Casbah and all over the place. He's a hilarious guy and just really genuine. And I love him. We got Andrew Ware again over there, killing it everywhere. You could see him. He's got the hat. I love that hat, dude. Where'd you get that?
It's a classic Andrew.
That was a gift.
It was a gift.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's got Fargo written all over it. Just
It
saying.
does. Yeah, it does.
And some more.
He does incredible work with installation and sound and now video. So hit him up if you're trying to build a studio because he knows how to do that. He did it here. Everything you see, you know, I'd like to say it helped a little bit, but you know, it was a lot of Andrew. So yeah, try to hit him up. Andrew Ware. What's your Instagram? Is the easiest way to hit you up?
Sure. Drew Bop.
Drew Bop.
Drew _ Bop.
It's like, what if these are our names eventually? It's like,
That already was his name, so
it was his name already. Drew Bop.
Drew Bop.
Drew Bop.
Boo Bop.
Yeah. So yeah. We talked a little, or did you have something to say there?
No, I was just gonna say I would love to like all the people you're promoting and shouting out. If I could get all that information, I'd love to
Oh yeah.
promote everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll send it
doubt.
your way. Yeah. You guys, the Hanukkah candles haven't burned out yet. I think that should be our deadline. We should just be like, all right, we're done. The candles
All
are still.
night.
You could always have
Yeah.
another jam whenever.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Doing
true.
that.
Yeah, I was thinking. We did have, you know, Shawn.
that
Shawn said
little
he
thing.
was got a little thing, you know,
That little
prepared.
thing. Let's do
Um,
it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down. Let's
All
do it.
right. Well, this is the theme of the day is free flowing. So
So how do I do this? Do I just sit here and then?
you could
Just
take
stop
that
singing
mic with the maroon one if you want.
Or either one.
Yeah, you can do this one. You can do that one. You got
That's it.
options.
Standing is I like it. I gotta stand.
Yeah. There's headphones by the fender over there.
Put on headphones, you'll be able to hear how you sound.
Headphones by the fender. You might want to get those socks in the picture. I'm just saying.
Those are nice socks. Let's zoom in on those socks if we can. If you guys haven't seen Barn Time before, we are a studio, Apogee Creatives, that is trying to create a space that is safe for people to come in, talk, produce, create. We are here, so hit us up. Without further ado, the Barn Time Band. And Shawn.
Just make sure you're singing that mic straight into it.
Straight into it. Straight. 1 2 1 2. Is it even on? I don't know if it's on. Is it on? You got me. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna feel it for a second. Can I do that? Yo. I had to step in, so pass the mic, young homie. Been spitting this game since the shorty was a tenderoni. Straight out the box like 2 shots. I'm coming, you got a head start, so now I'm running. I grew up rough, dealt with a lot of stuff. Tiny kid with the nickname Too Tough, true story. I've had enough to neck with the prayers. Playing Simon Says with America that's horrible. And I don't get what started with deplorables. And it wasn't that cordial, oops. Yo, I messed up, but that's okay. I'm gonna go off the top of the dome today and let you know what I do. Sister Cities is the project that I'm kicking, I'm through. And I gotta do this thing like this, rapping on the mic cause you know I twist. All the time, my wrist is shining with my watch and you know I'm not lying. So I'm designing my thing I do, making this thing, oops. I kinda paused, but that's okay because I got all y'all just listening to what I say. And if you didn't know, I'm not playing, I'm not delaying, I'm not reacting to what I'm saying. I'm acting, practicing. Let's see if we can just be me, you, and what I do. And if you didn't know, I'm through. I'll just groove this for a while though. Nerves got to me on that one.
Shawn McClondon and the Barn Time Band.
Just saying.
That was incredible.
The Barn Time Band.
Wow.
Are they just gonna they're just gonna be the in-house band from this point?
I mean, how?
They're just gonna be here.
I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say You guys, amazing work, amazing music. We've got your websites in the comment section, and you guys are so talented that it speaks for itself. It's like the best advertisement. It's just to play, because I want to learn keys now. I'm gonna hit you up at Sage Music
Sage.
Studios.
Yep, you got it.
Okay. How'd you come up with Sage? Where'd that come from? Do you sage the house often, or
I mean,
the studio?
you think of the word sage as also, like a teacher, right? So, a lot of people, especially when they start music, can be kind of overwhelming, right? To think of this whole language and universe that people don't know. So to have a sage, someone who has been living kind of in that musical world, right? And thinking of it more as someone who can kind of be by your side on your musical journey rather than a teacher, right? Or someone who's going to tell you what to do and exactly how to do it, right? Sometimes you got to figure stuff out on your own. So, sage.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it typical that, like, as a band, people that have never met each other can just start playing and sound that good? Is that typical?
I mean, I don't know. It's a risk. So it's worked out pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my question. I mean, I'm assuming you have to be a certain level to.
Jazz training helps, and I think we've all had some jazz
Okay.
training that kind of prepares you for any type of music that you might encounter.
Yeah, jazz is very improvisational based. So being able to kind of roll with anything, I think is like a fundamental feature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the cosmos, which you were talking about earlier, right? It's just like the rhythm is already there. Like dancing, for example. Dancing and music go hand in hand. They're so synonymous. You don't need to know how to dance in order to dance at a show. It just happens. We're tapping into it because we have this, call it epigenetics, call it just intuition, call it innate knowledge, but it's there, and we can tap into it. And just whether obviously not at your guys' level. I couldn't sit where Jason is sitting right now and just and end it like he ended. Oh my God, it was like a flutter that I could follow.
No, you
A
can't do
following flutter, yeah.
Zach's also a very talented drummer.
that.
Yeah, no, it's a little different. It's a little different. What's happening in the Barn Time Band is if you say it enough, it becomes true, and so you just band names come into fruition sometimes that way. Or it could be the Sage and Barn Time Band, the Barn Time Sage Band.
Be called Barn One Down.
Barn One Down.
That's the one.
That's it.
That was
That's
already,
it.
my friend Scott. Shout out to him for coming up with that one.
Barn One Down. Hit the one drop. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, you guys, episode 5, Barn Time. Phenomenal. Thank you so much, Barn Time Band, for being here. Chris McIntyre, studios.com.
Studio singular.
I had S's in
I
it
don't
all
have
the
two yet.
time. It's, I just want
Yeah, try
singular.com.
I'm gonna
yeah.
get that
It's a new
domain too.
dating app, actually.
Try spelling McIntyre.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Shawn McClondon, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Sister Cities Project is doing beautiful things, and I just am excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Again, the band will fade us out.
Take us out.
Take us out, baby.
Barn Time.